Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. It's always funny and obviously interesting to see how, according to our interests, we perceive the same action event differently. That is, for instance, if someone slaps someone else with a palm over the face, some people might see that as someone's palm hitting the face of someone else. Others might see that as the face hitting the palm of someone else. And there could be many other interpretations. So whenever we hear something, let's say from Ukraine war, that the Russians destroyed this kindergarten or destroyed that school or that hospital, and you hear others saying, actually, the Russians destroyed a command military center, or things like this. Now, what happened? We're going to find out maybe much, much later, or never, because there's going to be other events that are going to bury that one. So I have here two articles on a map reporting that Russia hit a Ukrainian military headquarters in Odessa. I've seen other articles coming from the Ukrainians saying that no, the Russians hit actually a Harry Potter building, a resemblance, theme park, something like that, civilians dead and all that. I'm not going to cover that one. I'm going to cover Russia hits Ukrainian military headquarters. Let's see. And because that has implications, I don't think the Russians hit Harry Potter's garbage. Not impossible, but it's a waste. And I don't think the Russians are having that luxury at this point to use an Iskander missile or who knows what for a Harry Potter garbage. Let's move to this article. Russia Today, 1st of May 2024. Russia hits Ukrainian military headquarters, Ministry of Defense reports. Earlier reports suggested that there had been 3 explosions in the center of Odessa. The Russian military has carried out a strike on the Ukrainian headquarters, commanding troops in the southern sector of the front, the Russian Defense Ministry has announced. When you have Ukrainian headquarters commanding troops, I suspect that there are also NATO commanders over there. Not suspect. For me, that's a given. I don't know. I have some gut feelings about it, or bold feelings. And I think they could be British commanders, could be American commanders, German, who knows, Polish, the whole, panoply. So let's read further and see what these guys have to say. In a statement on Wednesday, the ministry said that the military installation and Ukrainian troops and hardware were hit by combined air missile and artillery strikes. Earlier in the day, RIA Novosti reported, citing local residents members, that the Russian military had targeted a Ukrainian headquarters in the center of port city of Odessa. According to the report, there were 3 explosions in the area, with a particularly powerful one near the facility itself. The local residents reported numerous ambulances flocking to the headquarters, adding that the area had been cordoned off by the Ukrainian authorities. Let's see where this incident occurred or attack. So this is Odessa here, this is the Crimean Peninsula, this is the Black Sea, this is Romania, this is Romania as well, like that. All right, how do you like me now? And let's go to this one. This is Odessa. So in downtown or center of Odessa, the attacks occurred. 3 huge explosions on the big scheme of things. Here we have it like that. Now, obviously here, this is Transnistria. There's a little portion here, all this. And the Russians have over there about between 1,000 and 2,000 peacekeeping troops. Why do I say 1,000, 2,000? Because sometimes they say 1,000, sometimes they say up to 2,000. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, they're not a significant number of troops. Transnistria does not have access to the Black Sea, so the Russians could not go over there and eventually help them fight the NATO's expansion as a national security for the Russians. That's a threat. So maybe the Russians would advance here and have a border with, I don't know, maybe Hungary here. We'll find out. Correct? Correct. The head of Odessa Regional Administration, Oleg Kiper, has confirmed there was a strike in the city, which he said involved ballistic missiles and killed at least 3 people. However, he claimed that only civilian infrastructure had been damaged. You see, we know that people lie, and the bigger the issue, the bigger the lies. But to say that when the Russians hit you, only civilians are killed and civilian infrastructure, I mean, the lie is too obvious. And then you lose whatever credibility you had, if you still had at that point. At least the other guys give you, yes, our, how do you call those, oil refineries were hit. They tell you that, they say that they hit some drones in the process and so on, but they tell you about the explosions, they tell you that they were hit. These guys rarely say that, like the Russians are just so idiotically shooting their missiles, unless they want to prove a point, which is the Ukrainians, the guys in charge of Ukraine, want to prove a point and, demand more weapons and blame the West for not supplying Patriot systems. That's why our energy facilities were hit by the Russians. And then they show you that and they say it's because of you. So that's, a garbage reason. But what do you want? These guys want to fight the other guys, the other ones want to fight those guys, the other ones make a profit there, the other guys are lying, the other guys are lying as well. It's just the magnitude of the lie. So when they say civilians, okay, I'm pretty sure they're hit, in the crossfire and so on. But I don't think the Russians really, I don't think, it's not impossible. I mean, but just let's destroy the, I don't know, apartment building. Okay, well, that's why I have reservations whenever these guys say, well, civilians infrastructure only. RIA Novosti, it can't be trusted. Well, CNN can. Also reported citing residents, fighters, that Russia bombed a Ukrainian troop deployment area in the suburbs of Kharkov, a city of the Russian border, adding that another attack destroyed a warehouse storing military hardware in the southern Nikolaev region. So Kharkov, Kharkiv, and Nikolaev. Nikolaev is here, next to Odessa, and Kharkov is right here, and far east of Ukraine, or north of the, northeast of the hostilities. According to numerous reports, a pro-Russia resistant movement is active in at least several Ukrainian regions. Pro-Russian resistance movement, gathering data and engaging in sabotage against Kiev's military. The latest barrage, next article from Sputnik. Russia's military strikes Ukrainian army headquarters in Odessa. Let's see, and I'm quoting the Russian military. The Odessa resistance writes that 3 explosions were heard, the second very powerful in the area of Kulikovo Pole, where the headquarters of Pivden South Operational Command is located. End quote. The coordinator of Nikolaev underground, Sergei Lebedev, cited sources as saying. And that's a different story here. Headquarters hit again. Well, they said that we're going to hit the military headquarters, command centers, and ammunition and weapons provided by the Western. It's so garbage to say that way, but by affiliation you can call it, our association, call it Western, because it comes from the West. The problem is sometimes you have to name the enemy, but sometimes it's very dangerous to name the enemy. In this case, we know who the enemy is. depending on our, I don't know, understanding of what's going on over there. And I don't think it's the West is the enemy. I think people in charge of some Western countries, through the weasel politicians who are pursuing and pushing and trying to achieve their goals. This is the whole scheme. And the goal is Russian resources, therefore China's economy. This is the basic thing that occurs actually in Ukraine right now. It's the fight for dominance. Western interests through United States of America used, United States of America being used militarily, politically, economically, in order to make a profit and eventually get to those resources. Until then, until the Russians really hit the enemy, this will continue. We'll find out. The garbage continues, and unfortunately, Ukrainians and Russians lose their lives. Innocent Ukrainian and innocent Russians for the interest of, I would say, criminals. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.